Network segmentation and VPN for critical infrastructure. This is where a digital attack becomes a physical event, and two controls decide how far it gets. Consider the stakes. When an attacker breaches an ordinary corporate network, the worst case is stolen data or a ransom. When an attacker breaches the network of a power station, a water utility or a pipeline, the worst case is physical: a pump that stops, a valve that opens, a safety system that lies about its own state. Critical infrastructure runs on operational technology, OT, the industrial control systems that move electricity, water, and fuel. The consequences of a compromise are measured in outages and safety, not just records, and that difference reshapes how the network has to be defended. And here is the hazard. In critical infrastructure, a flat network is a genuine danger. The classic failure is a compromise that begins in the corporate IT network, a phished laptop, and then moves laterally, unopposed, into the OT network that controls physical processes. If there is nothing between the two, an ordinary office breach becomes a threat to the plant. The answer is segmentation. The reference model is the Purdue model, and the security principle, formalized in the IEC 62443 standards, is to divide the environment into zones of similar trust and control every path between them. The junction between IT and OT is not a single firewall but a hardened boundary, often an industrial DMZ, so no office system talks directly to a controller. Done properly, the payoff is simple: the laptop hits the boundary and stops. An attacker who gains a foothold finds walls, not open plains. That is containment in its most literal form, and it is the whole point of segmenting a critical network. But critical infrastructure cannot be a sealed box. Vendors need to service equipment and engineers need to respond out of hours, so there is the VPN, the door you opened on purpose. A VPN authenticates someone and then places them inside the network, and that is exactly why it is, repeatedly, the way attackers get in. The cautionary tale is Colonial Pipeline. The 2021 ransomware attack that shut down a major fuel pipeline was traced to a single compromised VPN account that had no multi-factor authentication. One password, one missing control, one pipeline offline. So the VPN has to be wrapped in controls that assume it will eventually be attacked. First, multi-factor authentication, without exception. A remote access path protected by a password alone is the Colonial Pipeline failure waiting to repeat. Second, least privilege. Remote users should arrive in a tightly scoped segment, ideally via a monitored jump host, not dropped straight onto the control network. And third, just-in-time vendor access, granted for the task and the window then revoked, and sessions that are logged and monitored, because remote access into OT is exactly where a compromise would show itself. So carry this away. In critical infrastructure, a network breach is not a data problem, it is a physical one. Segmentation contains it, keeping a compromised laptop away from the equipment that matters, and a VPN with MFA, least privilege and monitoring is a controlled door, not a hole that any stolen key opens.